Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about the Roman Empire. We just had the Republic collapse, we had Caesar's Civil War. Let's see what happened to create one of the greatest empires known to Western civilization. Okay, so before we begin, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to help the channel out so we can grow and spread more history love. So, what happens at the end of the Republic? So we credit Julius Caesar with ending the Roman Republic. So think back to yourself. How did he end it? What happened? What were the events that signaled the end? And of course, this was Caesar crossing the Rubicon River, leading his army into the territory of Rome, having a civil war with the Senate and Pompey, and then eventually defeating them. I think it's a pretty good argument that the Republic was long dead before Caesar. You know, you could say that the first triumvirate was truly the end because it was three people just ruling it. You could say it died with the Marius and Sulla civil wars when we have private armies taking over Rome. But many historians will just say that this is the end of the Republic. So, what happens after Caesar is killed in 44 BC? Well, we have a triumvirate again. We have the second triumvirate. We're going to have three people. We're going to have Mark Antony, who is one of Caesar's closest followers, a general and a real ally to Caesar. He goes and really chastises the Senate after murdering him because they get away with it, and how Caesar was, helping the people of Rome, and they make him feel a little bit bad about getting rid of the guy. He is going to rule the eastern section of Rome, so Greece, Egypt, Syria. The next person in this triumvirate is going to be a man named Octavian. He was Caesar's grandnephew, and Caesar actually had adopted him as a son. And Octavian is going to rule the western part of Rome. Think Hispania, Gaul, so Spain, France. Um, And then finally, we have Marcus Aemilius Lepidus, who's going to be one of Caesar's generals, will be the third pillar of the triumvirate. And he is going to rule Africa, and everything is going to be, fine for a little while. They're going to share power in the Italian peninsula. Everything is great. Lepidus is the weakest of the three. And eventually it's going to boil down to civil war between Mark Antony and Octavian Caesar. Antony is going to create a lot of controversy. We know that when Caesar was in Egypt, he wound up falling in love with Cleopatra, even had a child with Cleopatra. And Mark Antony is going to follow in his friend's footsteps and wind up completely falling in love with Cleopatra. He's going to essentially abandon his Roman family. He's going to live in Egypt. He's going to start dressing like an Egyptian. And what really tips things off is he rewrites his will, not including his, Roman children in the will, but leaving things to his children with Cleopatra and Cleopatra herself. It seemed like he was trying to set up his own kingdom in Egypt. Octavian, later known as Augustus, when offered. It was this dramatic scene. Octavian goes to the Senate with the will and talks about what Mark Antony is doing. And of course, it is outrageous that he would dare, you know, disrespect a Roman woman, his wife, and then go and want to be with an Easterner. So civil war is going to happen. The war is going to be long. It's going to be hard. And eventually it's going to end with the death of Mark Antony. Cleopatra will then kill herself. Let you know Myth has it with a poisonous snake. Battle of Actium was the last one. Basically, it's a huge naval battle in Egypt, and Augustus, excuse me, I keep on doing that. He will be known as Augustus, I'm sorry. Octavian Caesar goes and has his navy. Cleopatra's supposed to send ships to help Antony, and she doesn't. And Antony loses. So after 13 years, Octavian is the winner of the Civil War. Now, Octavian is going to be thought of very highly, and part of it, he's a smart guy. So it's 27 BC. Octavian is now the sole ruler of Rome, but he remembers what happened to his uncle. You see, on two different occasions, Caesar was offered to be king of Rome, not by the Senate, obviously, but, Antony said, "Should we crown you?" And Caesar said, "No." And Caesar said, "No," again. "Should we crown you king?" We remember the Romans were deathly afraid of kings. When Cincinnatus became consul the second time, it was simply to go stop Spurius from trying to have us plot to become a king. So Octavian doesn't want to be killed like his adopted father, his great uncle, for over this whole king business. So he goes to the Senate and says, "I have restored the republic. I have stopped the tyrants. I offer to give you all of the power back. I don't want to be the ruler of Rome." Now, do you think he didn't want to be the ruler of Rome? Or do you think he was maybe saying things to look good? Like how Cincinnatus was dictator and gave up all of that power for Rome. So he's likening himself to Cincinnatus, a Roman hero. And the Senate, they kind of got used to, not having to be the main governing body. They got to be very important, but not have to do a lot of work. And so the Senate then goes and says, "Wow, this guy wanted to offer power up. This really truly is a great man. He should be our ruler." So Octavian becomes the first emperor of Rome, although he never takes the title the emperor of Rome because, his Julius Caesar, his great uncle, adopted father, was murdered over being dictator for life. So he doesn't get crowned emperor, but he goes and says, "Well, call me Augustus," which means revered one. A title he also liked was called Princeps, which means first citizen. He's just, "Oh, I'm just a citizen of Rome." So we have this statue that's very famous of Octavian Caesar, now Augustus. And we have him here looking regal, looking brave, like a true leader. And I always ask my students, what do we think this baby represents? And that baby represents Rome, the people of Rome. Look at them just tugging at the bottom of his toga, you know. So we have Octavian being like a father to the city and people of Rome, protecting the child. So Octavian Caesar becomes Augustus. Now, you might hear his name, Octavian Augustus, Caesar Augustus, Octavian Caesar Augustus. Any permutation of those three words is going to be this guy. I typically just refer to him as Augustus, which many historians do. Now, Augustus says, "I want to bring Rome back to the virtue, the glory days of Rome," which of course sounds very good, going back to, the old style of Rome, the Republic. Yes, he will lead us there. And so he tries to go bring back more religious observance, and he often tries to make the Senate think they have power. He'll go have conversation with a senator, and talk about an idea, and then he'll go when he's talking to the Senate and say, "Oh, and this senator had this great idea," and give them credit for it. Or he'll go and talk about things and then wait for the senators themselves to bring it up and say, "Oh, wow, you're a genius." So he makes the senators feel good, makes them feel important, even though he's calling the shots. Here's another important thing that he does. One of the big problems in Rome were these private armies, these legions that were loyal to generals and not to the Roman Empire. He has every Roman soldier swear allegiance to Augustus. Not necessarily Rome, not the general that they had, but Augustus. And this is important because it shows that he is the cult of personality. He is the power. Now, Augustus will symbolize Rome, but we're going to see later on that the armies just being loyal to an emperor might not be a positive thing as well. Another thing, he goes and reinforces the borders with more defenses, more soldiers. He does not try to expand the borders. He is very conservative in this way, and he just tries to make Rome stronger as opposed to being bigger. And Augustus is going to usher in what we call the Pax Romana, which is going to be 200 years of peace, that they say, and prosperity. Now, it's not completely peaceful. Rome will go to war conquering other places, but Rome isn't going to have civil war at this time, which we're going to realize Rome is going to be very common and happen a lot with civil wars in the Roman Empire. But 200 years of Roman peace, the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. Pax, peace, Romana, Roman. All right, so how do they govern the people that they conquered? Well, almost everyone that they conquered remained free except for those that he enslaved. And by he, Rome, I should say, I apologize. There would always be a portion taken as slaves. Now, when you were conquered by Rome, you were allowed to keep the religion that you had. Your local rulers still often ruled and would now just rule with Rome being their bosses. Your life didn't have to change much at all. Now, Rome would put a governor over top of your area, and he divided the places into provinces, and they would have an army at their disposal if you didn't follow the Roman rule. Typically, the local elites would join the Romans, take up Roman lifestyles, and it was one of those things they'd get butter up. They'd become more wealthy through Rome, and then they would serve Rome and help have this cohesiveness, bringing the new places in to Rome. Now, all the Romans wanted was peace, taxes, and most importantly, for you to buy Roman stuff. When the Romans expanded their territory, they're going to get an influx of wealth because they take some slaves, they take some of your important stuff, but that doesn't last forever. They wanted you to pay your taxes, and they wanted you to continually buy Roman products. And what happens is, as these Roman products come in with the superior technology that the Romans possessed, with the fact that the Romans were essentially fair rulers for the most part. There will be exceptions, of course. Many people are going to adopt the Roman lifestyle. They're going to, start attending the bathhouses. They'll start dressing like Romans. The elites will speak Latin. Eventually, Latin trickles down to some of the regular peoples. And we have this real assimilation where many peoples are, quote unquote, becoming Romanized. Here is just a map showing the different provinces we have in Rome at this time. They haven't conquered Britannia yet, which is the island of Britain. We have Gallia or Gaul, Hispania, Spain, Italia, Thracia, all of these places under Rome. Now, how does Rome influence? Well, one of the things about the Romans is if you were not Roman, you were a barbarian. The only exception would probably be the Greeks, that they really admired the Greeks, but they essentially considered them proto-Romans, meaning Romans before there was Rome. But if you weren't Roman, you were barbarian, just like how the Greeks thought anyone who wasn't Greek was a barbarian. So that meant they thought you were uncultured, stupid, uncivilized. And Romans saw it as their mission to civilize the world, to make the world Roman, to bring the Roman goods, bring the Roman lifestyle in there. So that's the baths, so people could be clean. It was the aqueducts to bring water to new places. It was roads connecting. It was trade. And so Rome is really going to unify their empire, and they unify it with a common language. Like I mentioned earlier, Latin is going to become a language that the elites and then many regular people spoke. The elites are going to often learn how to read Latin. We're going to have one currency that is going to go and throughout Rome, the denarii, where it didn't matter if you were in Hispania, Italia, Egyptus, Syria, anywhere. That money worked, and it was good. So it had unprecedented trade for the empire. We had a unified system of weights and measures. We have roads and canals connecting all of these places so that you can trade. Doesn't this sound a lot like what Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi did to unify China? It makes sense if you have everyone speaking the same language, using the same money, having a pound equal a pound, and an inch equal an inch, having them connected together. This is how you unify a people. They had a standing army so that if there was a threat, they could be defeated. If there was a rebellion, they could be defeated. And of course, we have the central authority. We have the Roman emperor in the center, and we have a very large bureaucracy making sure that everything happened, that materials got to where they needed to be, people had what they needed. It's going to be in a very, very effective system. And finally, we have, like I said, the bureaucracy, the civil service. We have these people where it's job to go and, do the work of the government. So let's see some of these influences that we have in language. So we know the Romans, they spoke Latin. You guys get to study that, which is pretty cool. And of course, we know that Latin is the language that is going to be the father of the Romance languages: French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese. I think Romanian as well. I don't know why I don't have that in there. I apologize. We use the calendar that Julius Caesar essentially created. Now, it's been modified slightly, but think about the month July. Augustus added August. You know, October, Octavian. So we have, all of these things. September means the seventh month, and of course we know it is the ninth month. That's because they used to start their year in March. All right, and we look at this chart here, we see that English words come from Latin prefixes. So we see how Rome's influence still even lasts today with this, semicircle, international, impossible, illogical, all these things. It comes from Latin, which is really cool. I will say that English is not a Romance language. It is the mix of French and German, which is a Germanic language. So this is why we have, the Latin, we have the Greek, and we have other influences as well. Rome has also influenced our law. The Romans were big into justice. This idea that you're innocent until proven guilty, yeah, that came from Rome. The idea that people have inalienable rights, that is Roman, and the Romans spread these ideas through their civilization. We have the idea of citizenship going all throughout the empire, and of course, our government, a republic form of government, that comes from Rome. Alrighty, folks, I hope you had a enjoyable time learning about the beginnings of the Roman Empire. We're going to get into some more aspects of Rome next time. I miss you guys. I can't wait that we get to be back in person. Hopefully, we'll be starting our Google Meets soon. I guess since I'm recording this in the past for when you're doing it, I think we will be starting our Google Meets presently. Oh boy. Please like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.